that I was going to go become a chartered accountant. So I had that as plan A, plan B, and plan C. I decided to drop my course after being excluded twice. After that gap year, that's when I actually discovered Umuzi. The manager at the time was like, you know what, Dimpo? I don't think you know what this is.
Where on Facebook? Is this a Facebook? Guys, do you see what I always tell you about Facebook? It means you can even move from marketing now and go into data, into data analysis. This program, this digital marketing, what's going on there? Got TikTok, guys. What's happening there? Hi guys, welcome to the village. Today we have Udimpo, who is a marketing professional with 7 years of work experience. But the reason we have her here is not just about being a marketing professional, but the fact that she did this through umuzi.org. She got a learnership, which is something that is rare. In most cases, when we hear about umuzi.org, we think about software engineering or data engineering. So it's really nice when I saw that. Oh, okay. She got started with her journey from Umuzi. And was I not shocked to learn that she dropped out of accounting? I learned this when we were chatting. I didn't know. And there is so much that you are going to learn from her, not just from a technology or marketing or data analytics point of view, but just in life in general. Let's welcome Dimpo to the village. Hi, Dimpo. Welcome to the village. How are you?
I am great. Thank you for having me, Bonnie. It's great to finally connect with you. How are you?
I'm good. I'm good. Dimpo, tell us, what was your plan before you joined Umuzi? What was your plan before matric? I'm always intrigued. Like I always want to know, Uguti, before you did that, but what was your plan, the original plan?
Absolutely. The plan was to take over the world, but to get into the nitty-gritties of things, I had decided at a very early age, at 12 years old to be specific, that I was going to go become a chartered accountant. So that was my plan until matric, and obviously until before Umuzi. So I had that as plan A, plan B, and plan C. So
Right.
you can imagine that as the entire years went by, I already knew what I was going to do. It was set in stone for me. I had just decided, obviously, also because at the time, um, there wasn't very much knowledge or even just accessibility to anything else besides just the mainstream careers. So I
Yeah.
thought to myself, okay, I want to become a chartered accountant because I want financial security, and that was honestly the reason why I wanted to do it, you know.
Mm-hmm.
I didn't consider a lot of things such as whether my personality is even skewed for that career path, right? All I
Mm-hmm.
knew was that I wanted to make money, and if this is the way to make money, that's what I am going to do. Yeah.
Mm. Speaking of personalities, also you are
Mm.
black, so you don't have the luxury of looking at your personality because you need to
Mm.
get paid.
100%. Yep. You look at the most fundamental things, and money is it. Money is very fundamental, you know. So you look at those things, you're like, okay, what is it that I need right now? And what is it that I'm going to need to attain the dreams that I have for myself and for my family? You know, so
Mm-hmm.
that was key. Over and above personality, what I love, hey, what I am good at, those were not factors
Mm-hmm.
at the time, you know.
And then what happened then? That
Yeah,
was the
yeah.
dream. And then metric, didn't metric. What happened? Number results were not resulting. What happened then?
No. So matric. So the other interesting thing about me is that I have been a top 10 student from grade 1 right up until grade 12,
Yeah.
you know. So the results were resulting, everything was
Yeah.
great. And then I got into the crux of things. I got to varsity. So I went to
Mm-hmm.
the University of Johannesburg, in 2012, and I got accepted for my first option, which was the BCom accounting qualification. It was not the CA stream though, because at the time, I'm not sure what their courses are like now, but at the time there was a CA stream and then there was a BCom accounting stream. So I got accepted for the BCom accounting stream, which would mean that I needed to do 4 years of my degree before I get into the honors year for CA, which I was fine with. Um, so I got there. I remember very, very well. I got into my first lecture. It was an accounting lecture in 2012, February, late February. And I sat there. Our teacher, well, our lecturer told us that if you did accounting and you knew and you think you have a pre notion of what it is, I want you to scratch every single thing from your mind. I want you to come with a very fresh approach. And I was like, okay, I think that's fine because at the time, accounting wasn't even my strongest thing at school. I should have already known, right? But she gave me a lot of hope when she said, you don't have to know the fundamentals in order to succeed at this course. So I took that and I ran with it. But the interesting thing was it was the most difficult thing that I had encountered in my life. And the difficult thing about it was I started to learn a lot about myself as well as how I approach learning and how I approach studying, right? So accounting needs you to know rules. It needs you to basically know the rules. There are rules and that's just it. However, I'm the kind of person that wants to understand the why behind things. I want to understand why. I want to understand why is that the thinking so that I can pretty much comprehend and be able to literally be confident in my understanding besides just cramming rules. So you can already see that that's where the friction started with who I am as well as what the field requires me to do. And then you get into other courses that are auditing as well as financial management, which still require the same approach. I think the only course that I pretty much was confident in was economics because lapo you are able to you're able to think, you're able to apply yourself without necessarily um observing rules, right? And then I saw ukuthi, la not going to work, and it really wasn't because my results came back. My results came back, and I think in the first semester I had gotten 40s or 50s. Devastating time of my life. You can imagine you're so used to getting 80s and 90s, and then you get to this place and you first learn that what you actually are doing iyakuribula.
So, Dimpo, the
Mm.
course was dribbling you, and then did you decide to drop the course?
So yes, I decided to drop my course after being excluded twice at the university. So remember I told you it was plan A, B, and C. I didn't know anything else. So then I took a gap year, and then after that gap year, that's when I actually discovered Umuzi. One of my friends had sent me an email, I think 2 years prior, and I was just clearing my inbox, and then suddenly I came across this learnership, and I'm like, actually, I don't have any other choice right now. I think this is right up my alley. Just now that I know the kind of personality that I have. So I apply. I apply at Umuzi, and at the time they had graphic design course, they had a copywriting course, they had a digital marketing course, and they had multimedia course. So it hadn't established itself as a tech organization, but it was very much a digital marketing or a digital
Creative.
organization that is preparing. Exactly. It was a very creative orientated course that is developing disadvantaged individuals who are creative, but also just equipping them to turn their creativity into a career and make a living out of it.
You know, Dimple, I find this to be so interesting because
Yeah.
one, I didn't know that you dropped out of accounting. You know, I'm learning, guys. I promise you, I'm
Mm.
learning this for the first time because obviously it's not on your CV, right? So I didn't know about that. So I just find it to be so interesting because people always think I have beef with accounting. I don't want people to do accounting. I want people to be in the tech industry. So yeah, I just found that to be like funny. But Dimple, tell us, then you got into Umuzi. How did you find the learnership? How was it for you?
Yes. Yeah. So maybe let me take a step back and make you understand how I got into Umuzi. So
Right.
remember I told you about the courses that they have, and I applied
Mhm.
for the graphic design course simply because that's the only thing that looked familiar to me. I didn't know anything about digital marketing, copywriting. I was like, okay, I think I sort of have an idea of what graphic design is, so let me apply because I just want to be in there. So that's the first leap that I took. And then I remember I got interviewed for the graphic design course, and one of the
Mhm.
questions was, where do I see myself in the next 3 years? And I obviously answered that question, and the manager at the time was like, you know what, Dimpo, I don't think you know what this is. Imagine you're there for an interview and you're being told exactly what you know. So she confirmed, Veluti, you don't know what this is. But just based off of what you're talking about and where you see yourself in 3 years, let me call the digital marketing manager because I think you are going to be more suitable in that stream rather than this one. So now I
Okay.
am there, applying for one thing, but now I have to switch and go and interview for another thing that I know absolutely nothing about, Bonnie. And I
Sure.
think one of the biggest lessons there was also the fact, um, just arrive at spaces, arrive and doors will
Mhm.
start opening up for you. So I had
Mhm.
15 minutes between my graphic design and digital marketing interview. And now I'm there, I'm Googling, but I can see that Google is not working. So I start talking to everyone. But to cut the story short, I am successful at the digital marketing stream. I make it into the boot camp and I become four of many applications that are successful. And I eventually just go on to the learnership. And it was a life-changing experience.
Mhm.
I learned something completely new. It was a community, guys. Umuzi is
Mhm.
truly a community. When you get in there, you aren't just um you aren't just focused on what it is you're doing, but you're being exposed to other elements as well. I am there for digital
Mhm.
marketing, but I'm now learning multimedia. I am learning copywriting,
Mhm.
and because of the very short space, it's a 1 year course. So everything is
Mhm.
very compact, which means that the pressure is quite high. But I'm telling you, the
Right.
support system that you have there, even for someone who does not know and who's completely new to this, it's very
Mhm.
encouraging, and because of the curriculum that is so well detailed, they make sure that we are thriving. At the time, I remember we even entered a boot camp with the likes of Vega. Vega,
Mhm.
those are students doing like 3 to 4 year courses, and we're doing 1 year courses, but we actually find that our brief and our execution of the brief was much more successful. So I'm just trying to make you
Mhm.
understand that it is a very compact, high pressure course, but the quality thereof is really great because even when you get into the industry, you are well equipped.
Wow. So you finish the learnership, you get placed. You are one of the lucky ones
Yes.
because I know sometimes it's not guaranteed the placement, but you were good, you were excellent.
Mm,
You get placed with one
mm,
of the
mm.
organizations. How long did you stay at your first job and what was your job title? I know in marketing, guys, it's very confusing. One day you are social media manager,
Yes.
then in another job you are a digital something like this. It's just confusing. But tell us your first job, what was your
Yes.
title? And yeah, how did you get it?
Okay.
Oh,
So my
obviously, it was
first
through
job
placement. Yeah.
was, yes, it was through placement. So the last 3 months of the Umuzi Learnership, you get placed
Mhm.
into an agency, and then it sort of forms part of your experience into an agency. So those 3 months for me was at an agency called Flow Communications. And then I was the social media strategist there, right?
Mhm.
That's the 3 months of the last year of Umuzi. And then my contract was extended to another 3 months. So I was at Flow Communications for 6 months as a social media strategist.
Mm.
The title was quite senior for what it is that I was doing, but because remember it was in 2017. At the time, I think also organizations and the industry was just trying to find their way around having social media management as a profession.
No, no, I
Mm,
totally get you. And then from that one, I'm gonna
yeah.
skip the salary one because you mentioned the name of the company,
Okay.
so we're not gonna talk about the salary there. Okay. So from
Oh,
that
sorry.
one, you moved to no, that's fine. So you moved to the your next job was now what?
So now I am moving from Flow Communications. My contract ends and I am
Mhm.
job hunting. And then I stumble upon a Facebook post. Someone was looking for a social media manager at, can I mention the name?
Yeah, you
Okay.
can.
Someone was looking
Okay.
for a social media manager at TBWA Hunt Lascaris. It is
Mhm.
one of the top 5 ad agencies in the world. So I sent that person an email. I took their email from the chats on Facebook and I sent them an email. And lo and behold, they actually called me for an interview and I was successful at that interview.
Where on Facebook? Is this a Facebook? Guys, do you see why what I always tell you about Facebook? You guys, you undermine Facebook.
Yeah.
You know, these youngsters, they're like, oh
Yeah.
no, we open on Facebook. I mean, I'm gonna be
Yes.
on LinkedIn. But I
Mm,
understand now it's
mm,
different,
mm.
because there's a lot of scams and stuff
Yes.
now. But anyway, whereabouts on
Uh,
Facebook? Was this a Facebook post from the company or it was a recruiter? Was it in a group? Where was it?
yes. So when I was at Flow Communications, one of the head of digital there decided that he's going to create a Facebook group for social media and digital marketing professionals in the country. So I
Mm.
was a part of that internal group, which also comes back to the power of networking. You know, because at the time you can imagine that I am there as a junior, but because I am associating myself with also senior people of that stature, I'm able to get into those small groups where intel is shared amongst a small circle. And because of the industry that we are in, and maybe even in other industries, but your network really does go a very long way, and that's where you find that you are exposed to more than what you would have been if you're maybe just simply on a linkedin platform. But it's in those small circles where people start and
Mm.
look for credible candidates and then start vetting from there, because I mean word of mouth is everything. They trust the people that they
Yeah,
are associated with, and they trust that those people will recommend the right
the right
candidates.
people. Yeah. So now you're a senior social media manager. So is this your third job outside of the learnership? So we're gonna count flow,
So
then we're gonna count the TBWA,
yes,
and then
yes, yes,
it's your third job. Okay. Timbo, I know you use data analytics, right, as a social media manager. Can
yes,
you tell us
yes,
about that? I know you did your course through
yes,
UCT. How was that course? Before we get to
yes,
how you are using it now, but how was it? How did you find that course?
yes. I found that it was exactly what I was looking for. So for starters, I was looking
Mhm.
for something that also gave me the ability to look at data visualization, because I do a lot of presentations and I am needing to make my clients understand what it is that I understand in a way that is also going to make sense to them, right? So the course
Yeah.
was comprehensive. It was I think it was a 12-week course, if I'm not mistaken. It was
Mm-hmm.
a 12-week course, and it was comprehensive in the sense that it taught me how to firstly extract the data that I needed. It taught me
Mm-hmm.
how to interpret the data, as well as to be
Mm-hmm.
able to visualize the data for the right stakeholders. I think
Right.
when you're doing
Mm-hmm.
something, it's easy for things to be, you know what you're doing. You know what's going on. You go through the day-to-days of your work, so it's all in your head. But
Mm-hmm.
it's another thing to have to explain to Uboni, Uguti, this is what it means.
Yeah.
So that
Mm.
was very critical for me, because it's also important for the people that I work with and for the people that I do this for to understand why it is that we're doing what we're doing, the same way that I would
Right.
understand, so that we can pretty much reach the objectives. So that course was really great. The support was there, even from like the admin team. And as a professional, I always look
Mm-hmm.
for courses that deliver support. I've got deadlines. I've got a day to day that I'm doing. I need to be able to have I need to be able to have
Yeah.
some sort of flexibility. I need a team that's
Mm-hmm.
going to communicate promptly. And I found that that team for me did that.
And also, guys, I always
Mm.
mention that, do you know that digital marketing is part of the technology industry? And people still don't
Yeah.
think it's part of the technology industry. They think it's something else right there, somewhere else. You see now how she's using
Mhm.
data analytics for her day-to-day job. Also, I'm sure it helps you to
Mm.
get the money, the budgets from the
Does.
clients. When you show them
Mm.
exactly what is happening, why do we
Mm.
need to do that? Why
Mm.
do you need to spend so much
Mm.
there and there? Guys, that course, it's gonna be in
Mm.
the description box of this video. Do check it out. It's offered by UCT in association with EDX and Get Smarter. But anyway, Dimbo, I want us to get a bit
Yes.
controversial. This might be controversial, but I
Yes.
just have to ask you, as someone who's working on a day-to-day marketing, what do you think of these
Mm.
these, I don't know, this program, this digital marketing, what's going on there? Got TikTok, guys. What's happening there? Like, there's these programs that people are selling. They say, hey, people are learning digital marketing. They are making 100,000. Because people always ask me about it. And I'm like, guys, I can't speak on things that I'm not familiar with. The digital
That you
marketing
don't.
that I know is
Mm.
you go to school, whether it's through short courses, like who
Yes.
Dimpo did, like myself, you
Mm.
do short courses, or you go through uni, okay, and then you get a job or you get clients. I got
Mm.
clients. So, Mina, that's what I know. But what do you think?
um I come across those on my FYP quite often as well. And
Uh-huh.
my first instinct, you can already imagine that I am a professional, right? So my first
Yeah.
thing is, if this person is telling me about a digital marketing course, why is it that in the same breath they are telling me how much money I am going to make without even getting into the
Mm.
nitty-gritty of what it is that I'm going to learn? So that's,
Mm.
for me, that's always
Mm.
off-putting. It's a complete turn off. I'm like, scroll up and I move right on. Because at the end of the day, I ask myself, what does this person stand to gain from sharing this video? And more often than not,
Mm.
it is the fact that they are making money. So for them, it's a business. So I'm like, okay, so I
Mm.
am a customer here. So I'm not trying to be a
Mm.
customer, I'm trying to be a student. I want to be a student. So if I am a customer, clearly this is not the right place for me to be. And it's
Guys,
also very different for some people who are.
no, I'm listening.
And it's also very, yes, it's also very different for some people who actually have short courses that they have developed themselves. And let's say I am a professional and I decide, you know what, I want to share my experience and insights with other people at a very
Mhm.
affordable price. you know I think
Right.
that's a very different approach, because I am not here trying to tell you how much money you're going to make. No, I am making the knowledge accessible as an experienced professional.
Mhm.
So those are two different things. So
Right.
the one that you are asking me about, where it's sort of giving business, no, I'm looking to be a student, and I think your audience also are looking for the knowledge and the skills that will ultimately get you the
Skillful
money. But remember, um, the money comes after the skills and the knowledge. You can get a
skills.
job that's gonna say, okay, Dimpo, going to give you 60,000 rand a month. And I'm like, woohoo, let's do this. But then when I get there, I don't know what is happening, because why? I do not have the skills, I do not have the knowledge, I do not have the expertise or the experience. And ultimately that's what I need in order to get to the money.
Dimple, you are in social media, and there are a lot of other professions within the digital marketing space. There's SEO, there's
Yes,
PPC, there's quite a lot, hey?
yes.
But do you think
Mm,
this path of social media management is it's more accessible, it's just easier to penetrate the industry? And then once you get there, you
mm,
can then specialize in other things, skill up. Like for instance, now you are in data
yes.
analytics, right? And data
Yeah,
analysis, then it means you can even
yeah.
move from marketing now and go into data,
True.
into data analysis, so now you
Yeah.
found your sweet spot. You found your sweet spot. But
Mm,
do you think social media is an easier way for us to penetrate the industry?
mm. Certainly, I
Mhm.
think that social media is a great entry point into the digital marketing career path, right? Because then
Mhm.
it exposes you. Firstly, it's a good entry point because you probably already spending time on social media,
Mhm.
whether you are a creator or whether you are a consumer. And I would like to think that to an extent, most of us have published a video on any platform. So the
Yeah.
thinking is already there, even though it's not at a professional level, but it's already there. You know the fundamentals, you know how
Mm.
to log onto your platform, you know how to navigate. So I would say that social
Mm.
media is a good element or a good stepping stone to getting into a digital marketing professional. Then when you are there and you are inside, you're able to then enhance and start specializing in different paths.
Yeah, no, absolutely.
Yeah,
And guys,
yeah,
reality is, I've mentioned earlier, just having a certificate only without a portfolio, forget it. Like you'll not land a job, okay? Even if you have
mm,
a degree,
mm,
unless you are in a
mm,
graduate program or you got an internship, right? So you
mm,
got like an
mm,
internship or you're in a
mm,
graduate program,
mm,
that's cool. But if that didn't happen for you, you just need to hustle like everybody else. You don't have an
mm,
internship. You need a portfolio, baby. I'm
yeah,
sorry. Like you,
mm,
and I find this like
yeah,
people, they will send me their CVs, and then I tell them, okay, one, maybe they have a degree. And then I tell them, oh, you need to do digital marketing course. And then so that you can be able to create a
yeah.
portfolio. And then, but they're offended. They think like, oh no, but how can you say I must do a short course while I have a degree? And I'm like, no, so that you
Mm,
can get hands-on skills, then you can create a portfolio.
mm.
So
Absolutely.
please tell
Mm,
them, because mina mhlambe ngiyathetha
mm.
or something. Please tell us, one, the importance of having a portfolio. Why should you have a portfolio and how you can create one?
Yeah.
Give us examples, of what we can put with portfolio.
So to answer your question, right? I like to think about our qualifications as a knock on the door, right?
Mhm.
You go to university, then having that qualification is saying that I am here, I have arrived, I am knocking on the
Mhm.
door. But when the person
Right.
opens that door, they are going to ask you, who are you? What do you want? That's where the portfolio is going to come in, because now your portfolio is going to tell me what you're about. I already know that you went to go do this qualification. That's fine. You're here at my door. I need to
Mhm.
know, what can you do for me? What are you looking for? And that's where a portfolio is able to tell your story. And I know that many of us obviously start in a place where we do not have experience. But I want us to think about
Mhm.
experience from a different perspective, where a lot of times we think about experience from a very traditional point of view, where we say, no, I must get employed first, and then I'll count that as my experience. But no, it doesn't mean
Mhm.
that you need a contract to say that now you are employed to have experience. No, you can go and volunteer. You can spend time with
Mhm.
people who are already doing that work. That is part of gaining experience, because ultimately you
Mhm.
get into these jobs and you say, I have been working at this place for 3 years. Yes, but your experience in those 3 years, what does it look like? So, how I
Mhm.
approach my portfolio, to give you like a practical point of view, I'll obviously tell you who I am, and not who I am
Mhm.
Uguti. No, I come from this place and I was raised by these people. No, who am I in a professional perspective, in the sense that my
Mhm.
introduction has to essentially let the person know why they must get me into their door. So
Right.
I'll tell them about myself from a professional perspective, and then I will
Mhm.
include some of the programs and tools that I know. Remember, even when you are in varsity and studying in uni, you do some
Mhm.
practical stuff, whether it is learning Microsoft or whether it is learning some creating a dashboard. You put that into your portfolio, because another thing is, when
Mhm.
you're applying for your very first or a junior level job, the hiring managers know that you're applying for a junior job. So they're not going to expect you to
Mhm.
have experience of a Dimpo who is a senior.
Mhm.
It's going to be very practical, that you know how to do Microsoft, you put it in there. And nowadays, knowing how to use AI, and even as simple as ChatGPT, it's very critical.
Mhm.
You put that in there. If you know how to use Google
Mhm.
Suits, you put it in there. Outlook, you put the tools that you know in there. You learned how to
Mhm.
do data visualization in that one module that you did at work, sorry, at uni,
That's cool.
for
Mhm.
analytics. You put that in there so that you can share. You telling the next person what it is that you have to offer in their space, and why it is that they must hire you and they must choose you with what you have. So it's basically telling us what you have and what value you're going to add.
But Dimple, people want to know, what type of project should I put? Because now I've listed my
Okay.
technical skills, but now I need to show the recruiter
Yes.
that like something tangible. And as you've mentioned, I'm straight out of
Yes.
school. So what can I put? What type of projects can I
Yes.
include there?
Yes. Okay.
Mhm.
So, first and foremost, it's going to be important to understand what it is that you are applying for. I will speak from a social media perspective. So, if you are wanting to
Mhm.
apply for a social media role, a junior role, these are the things that you would want to put as someone with no experience, basically.
Mhm.
Firstly, you could try growing your own personal brand, right? And
Mhm.
use those numbers in your own portfolio to say, I have grown my Instagram page from this to that. It's not a
Mhm.
brand that is well known, but it is able to show that you understand, one, the principles, you understand the algorithm, you understand what the platform is. It's showing your thinking, it's showing
Mhm.
your understanding, which is very important in the job that you are going to be hired for. So I would start with, firstly, myself and growing my platforms in order to be able
Mhm.
to use that as a case study into my portfolio. The other approach
Right.
would be to approach small businesses or even other businesses around my community or around my area, right? And remember, the whole objective
Mm-hmm.
here is to gain experience and not necessarily to get paid. So even if you are going to do the jobs for free in the beginning, you do that because you understand the end. The end is to get into that agency, and you need this experience. So you use
Mm.
that as a stepping stone. Oh, there's a laundromat that is next to where I stay. Let me approach them. I've seen that, like their logo isn't looking great. They could do with some personal branding and they don't have any social media presence. How am I going to give them a social media presence that is going to also add value to them, but also make sure that I have a case in point to include in my portfolio? So it's always looking for those opportunities that are around you. Sometimes you can even look at it from a point of view of we have family members. You may find that maybe your aunt or your uncle, your sister, your brother is already a professional in a space, but you look at their LinkedIn page and you're like, from what you do and who people are seeing you as, there's a disconnect. So, how can I apply my skills in branding you personally? And then you use that information in your portfolio. The other thing about a portfolio is you need to frame your work in a way that's going to be very impactful. So, if for instance, I am going to grow a personal brand, whether it is mine or whether it is another
Mm.
whether it is mine or whether it is another professional's personal brand, my numbers, how I communicate my numbers is going to matter. So rather than saying I grew the
Mm.
page from 300 to maybe 1,000, ne? Use it as a
Mm.
percentage, because you find that a percentage becomes a bigger thing, like, oh, she grew it 97%. But when you look at the actual numbers, like maybe she grew it by 50. So it's also being able to manipulate the data to be able to communicate what it is that you want to. Because essentially, when I am looking at your portfolio, I'm not going to see that you
Yeah.
grew this person's platform by 150 followers. No, but I'm going to see, ooh, 97%. So that's what you want in your portfolio.
That's interesting. No, that's interesting. Guys, I hope we are learning from Utimpo, and and you found this to be so insightful. I'm learning something
Yeah.
myself. And yeah, because obviously I have big platforms, so every month,
Mm,
everything is always like 1000%, whatever. So I'm just looking at this now. I'm
mm.
like, oh, okay, that's interesting. And you find that sometimes a
Exactly.
brand will say, oh, what is the engagement rate? And you sit there, you're thinking
Mm.
2% is bad. Can't you know? Actually, the standard for the industry is like 0 point something percent.
Exactly.
But you're
Ex-
actually, and then when you put like for instance, I'll put my handle in a platform and then it shows me that actually your YouTube engagement is above average. But you see that it's saying 2 point
yeah.
something percent. You're like, how is that above average? But it will show you that actually this is
Yeah.
above average because typically the
Yeah.
engagement is like, so that's all about data stuff. Guys, don't forget to check out the courses that we mentioned here, the UCT courses, the digital marketing one and the data analytics one. I have a 20% off discount if you use my promo code BONI2024. And what's more, let me know once you've bought the course so that I can put you quick group here to layer quick get into tech industry, right? So that you can have access to mentors, guests like Udimpo as well. Well, not mentors, but guests, because some guests they can come talk to you, but then they don't do mentorship. Some of them they can talk to you and then they offer mentorship. So it just varies. But if you like to be connected, be part of that group, just let me know once you've bought your course. Okay, once you've bought your course, you can email me and then I can put you on the group and then you can have access to all the benefits from the Get Into Tech guide. If you don't know what I'm talking about, the Get Into Tech guide, it's a guide that guides you how to get into the technology industry, like people like Abo Dimpo without a technology degree. Yes, marketing is a part of the technology industry, and yeah, it's covered, and there's cloud engineering, software testing, and data analytics. So maybe you don't want to do the UCT course, you want to do like the other courses that are free. That's part of the guide, and you will have access to that group that I'm referring to. But guys, wow, don't forget, life is a maze. Life is a maze. Life is a maze. And I can't wait for a day where I'm ready to really like get into it about my own life, because wow, my own life has been a maze as well. But I'll definitely have a different platform for that, not this current platform. I am planning to do that, especially for the ladies. I want to have a platform where we only talk about girl stuff, but not beauty. Not beauty and hair. The self-development stuff. Yeah, I can't wait to have that channel soon. Yeah, it will happen this year, don't worry. Guys, oh, I'm ranting now. Bye, I'll see you on the next one.